Joining us now is Aisha Bravoy. She is the state's attorney for Prince George's County, Maryland. Well, Kilmar Abrego Garcia was initially arrested in 2019. Due process having a curfew is crazy.
Yeah, that's the thing. It just the whole due process part of this is what Alito seemingly doesn't care about, and seems to have been disturbed by the fact that he had to get up and actually had to, read something about someone's due process rights. You're the state's attorney in my home county, Prince George's. Got our little Maryland corner here again. I love it. I love it. So it's good to have you. Have a little Marylanders here and there, but you're in this mix. I mean, Mr. Abrego Garcia is from our neck of the woods, as they say. How do you, or what mechanisms do you have, or would you have access to in a process like this? To avoid what played out? Are you consulted? Are these actions taken and you just wake up and find out that, oh, you took one of our citizens and we didn't know?
Right. I mean, these actions are in so many ways not lawful actions. So there's no way they're going to come to an officer of the court and ask for permission or even coordinate with us. So we had no idea that he was removed. In fact, I believe the removal, when he was detained this time, it was in Baltimore.
Right.
So it wasn't in Prince George's County where he resides. So it was very concerning. But, when we talk about due process, I was just thinking the other day, it is due process that afforded this president to be able to be the president. Because as you remember, in May of 2024, he was found guilty of 32 counts, right? But he was able to appeal his conviction because of, guess what, due process in our courts and our judicial system. So because of that, he has, been able to benefit and is now the president of these United States of America. So if anyone wants to defend due process, it should be the person who was the recipient of the greatest benefit of
34 times
due process.
It's like due process for me, but not for thee.
Not for everyone.
And Michael flagged yesterday afternoon in our group chat, because we have a group chat.
Is it Signal?
I can tell you we're not just classified information. And I was just so shocked by this Washington Post article that talked about how a defunct gang registry helped deliver Kilmar Abrego Garcia to a Salvadorian prison. They wrote, the detective who filled out the gang sheet, Ivan Mendez, was suspended from the Prince George's County Police Department days after detaining Abrego Garcia because he'd been accused of tipping off a sex worker he had hired about an ongoing investigation into a brothel that she ran. He was later criminally indicted and fired after pleading guilty to misconduct in office, one of several members of the gang unit who were criminally prosecuted. According to the Baltimore Beat, Menendez was placed on a do not call list by your office in 2021. And a do not call list means that he was unfit, deemed unfit to be a witness before a jury because of criminal charges filed against him. So if he's unfit to be a witness in Prince George's County for anything that could be happening there because he seems to be a nefarious character, how is he fit to be one of the individuals that the Trump administration is hanging their hat on to prove that, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, he was a criminal? Because
I think, to Simone's point, what he wrote about Abrego Garcia is the thing that has trailed him since 2019. And it's all, there's some serious questions about what he wrote about Mr. Abrego Garcia.
Absolutely. Well, my office actually prosecuted Officer Mendez because we believe that he was guilty of misconduct in office. He ultimately pled guilty to misconduct. So this is someone who has integrity issues. Now, one case has nothing to do with the other, right? In so many ways, the question is, how much weight do you put into a system that no one really uses now in our region because it was determined that there were a lot of issues with it. It was racially biased. And also, what's in the system called GangNet were allegations, observations. Nothing in that system could be used in a court of law to prove fact. And that's what prosecutors, that's what we have to deal in, fact and the law, not in innuendo, not in someone's beliefs or their observations and the conclusions that they draw from their observations, but in actual real facts and evidence. And that's what we did not have here. That's why in 2019, when Mr. Garcia was actually arrested and then detained by ICE, when he had his ICE proceeding, he essentially was allowed to continue to remain in this country. He was able to be here, even though those allegations were made about him being in a gang. So if Trump won, his first administration believed that they had captured a violent gang member, then they could have deported him anywhere but El Salvador. Instead, he was allowed to remain in this country. He was a resident of Prince George's County. He has 3 children who he's raising with his wife. And 2 of them, and I know this month, we are recognizing individuals who are on the autism spectrum. 2 of them are on that spectrum. And so they have a lot of needs. The family has a lot of needs. He was the primary breadwinner. He was a sheet metal worker here. And his union and those who work with him, they need him back. His family needs him back. And ultimately, justice needs him to return. Now, where he goes after he returns, after a process that affords him due process, is really up to the courts. But we shouldn't be afraid, right? We should not be afraid of the term due process. That's what makes America America and different from so many other countries.
You hit on a number of things that are important and sort of encapsulated in a New York Times piece yesterday about defying the law in the courts, noting the president's goal in recent days has been to present Mr. Abrego Garcia as such a dangerous man that it does not matter if the government's deportation was illegal, in effect arguing that the ends justify the means. Never mind that Mr. Abrego Garcia has never been convicted of a crime. The White House now portrays him as a singular threat to public safety without bothering to prove anything in a court of law. How did we allow this to become such a twisted process that this convicted felon sitting in the White House, who, as you noted up front, has the benefit of due process, right? 1,000 times over, right? Given everything that this man has been through in both of his terms, yet in this moment, the country seemingly sitting back sort of nonchalant about the fact that these individuals are being, we have images of students and professors being, taken off the streets and shipped off to Louisiana with not nary a piece of paper saying, here's what you did and this is why we're doing this.
No charges filed.
But can I say this? I don't think the country is sitting back. I think there are folks like myself, folks like Senator Chris Van Hollen, so many others who are speaking up to defend our democracy. It's not about being a Republican or a Democrat. Those of us in law enforcement, we're about justice. We're the Justice Party. We want to make sure that everyone is afforded justice in this country. And so I look forward to the day when our Republican colleagues can say, you know what, we need to at least stand up for justice. And I'm so proud that 9 members of our Supreme Court, 3 of which Trump appointed, decided that, Mr. Garcia should be placed back in the position that he was before this administrative error, which the administration is calling it, occurred. So there is, I think, some hope. And that hope really rides on the strength of our judges. We have judges in Maryland and throughout the country that are actually defending democracy, defending the due process of law, defending even, unfortunately, we have to defend our universities against, cuts to their budgets. And there's no due process there either. And so we have to check. We have to check the executive branch. That is why we have 3 co-equal branches of government designed to really place a check on one another. Unfortunately, Congress right now doesn't seem to be checking the president.
They've checked out.
They have checked out.
They on vacation.
But I see hope there because you see steps being taken, I believe, by the Democratic Party to say, you know what, we need to look at some of those seats that are vulnerable. We need to go after those seats because we have to have a Congress that absolutely will provide a check on the president. Right now, the courts are our last and best defense against what's happening today.
All right.
Courts are the last defense. Oh.
That's it.
Some days they shaky.
Some days.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Aisha Bray Boy, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Next time you come on, we can talk a little politics.
A little bit.
Maybe we'll come after June.
Yeah, come after June.
After
We'll have to talk a
June,
little
I'll be
politics
here.
after.